Imagine it's 2 a.m. Your kid has a 103-degree fever. You're panicking. You call your primary care doctor at 9 a.m. the next morning, and the receptionist, with a voice as dry as a desert, says, "We have an opening in 3 weeks." 3 weeks? By then, your kid will either be fine or in the ER. So you go to urgent care. You wait 4 hours. You see a doctor for exactly 6 minutes. And a month later, you get a bill for $450 because apparently that specific doctor was out of network, even though the building was in network. Does that sound familiar? It's frustrating, right? It feels like the system is designed to keep you away from the very care you're paying for. But here's the thing. It's not just bad luck. It's a feature, not a bug. My name is Sean. I obsess over the American insurance system so you don't have to. If you're struggling with high premiums and a system that feels like it's gaslighting you, hit that subscribe button right now. And if this video helps you make sense of the madness, give it a like. It really helps get this info to people who are drowning in medical debt. Now look, most people think the reason it's hard to see a doctor is that we have a shortage of doctors, or that healthcare is just expensive. Actually, that's only half the truth. The real reason you can't get an appointment and why a Tylenol costs $80 in a hospital isn't just greed. It's about incentives. In most countries, the goal is, how do we get the patient healthy for the least amount of money? But in the US, the system is built on a fee-for-service model. Every middleman in the chain, the insurance company, the pharmacy benefit manager, the hospital administration, they all get a cut of the total spend. If the total cost of healthcare goes down, their revenue goes down. Just let that sink in for a second. Let's look at the numbers, because the math is honestly terrifying. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, the average family premium has skyrocketed by 47% in the last decade. We spend about 18% of our GDP on healthcare. That's nearly $4.5 trillion a year. To put that in perspective, we spend more on healthcare than the entire GDP of Germany. So, why are you still waiting 3 weeks for a checkup? Think of the US healthcare system like a massive plane trying to take off on a runway covered in thick mud. The mud is the administrative layer. For every one doctor in America, there are now 10 administrative staff members. 10. You aren't paying for the doctor's expertise. You're paying for the army of people required to fight the insurance company to get that doctor paid. I know what you're thinking. Sean, I have insurance. My company pays for it. Well, let's do some math. Suppose you need an MRI. The charge master price, the fake list price the hospital sets, is $3,500. Your insurance company says, we only pay $700. You see a discount of $2,800 on your statement and think, wow, my insurance is great. No. What people really don't realize is that the $3,500 price was fake to begin with. It's a ghost number created so the insurance company can pretend they saved you money. But here's where it gets interesting, and a little dark. If you walked into that same imaging center and said, I'm paying cash, no insurance, they might charge you only $500. Wait, why is the cash price lower than the negotiated insurance price? Because when you use insurance, the hospital has to hire 3 people just to handle the paperwork for that one MRI. You are paying a complexity tax. Why do we put up with this? It's psychological. Healthcare is the only thing we buy where we don't know the price until after we consume it. This puts your brain in survival mode. When you're sick, you aren't a consumer looking for a deal. You're a victim looking for a lifeline. The system counts on your fear. They know you won't shop around for a better price on a broken arm. They use this information asymmetry to keep you from asking questions. You might be thinking, but Sean, I can't just negotiate with a giant hospital. Yes, you can, but you have to move from survival mode to strategic mode. Here's your survival guide for the American system. If you want to see a doctor faster and pay less, do these 3 things. First, ask for the cash price first. Before you give them your insurance card for a scan or lab work, ask, what is your self-pay cash price? Often, it's cheaper than your deductible portion would have been. Second, request an itemized bill. Never pay a hospital bill until you get the itemized version with CPT codes. When you ask for this, errors, like being charged $100 for a toothbrush, magically disappear. Third, use independent facilities. If you need a specialist or a scan, try to avoid facilities owned by big hospital chains. Independent centers often have lower overhead and can see you much faster. I want to tell you a quick story about a friend of mine, Sarah. She got a $2,500 bill for an ER visit. She was ready to put it on a credit card and pay 22% interest. I told her, stop, call them and ask for financial assistance or the charity care policy. Every nonprofit hospital in the US is legally required to have a charity care policy. Sarah found out that because her household income was under 400% of the federal poverty level, the hospital wiped the bill to zero. The hospital didn't tell her that. The insurance company didn't tell her that. People don't know what they don't know. Look, the American healthcare system is a mess. It's a giant, confusing, expensive machine. But you are not a cog in that machine unless you choose to be. Education is your only real insurance. When you understand the math and the incentives, you stop being a victim and start being a player. Don't let a medical bill ruin your financial future. Take control. Ask the hard questions. And remember, you have more power than the bill says you do. If you found this helpful, share it with one person you know who is struggling with medical bills. Let's help each other out. I'm Sean. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.